Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle, and in this video I'm going to show you how I do my planning. So I've talked in other videos how I do 6 weeks of school and then I have a week off. So we do 6 weeks on, 1 week off, 6 weeks on, 1 week off, and that is our schedule throughout the entire year and summer. So I've mentioned in previous videos how when I have that week off, something I will do is prep for the next 6 weeks, and that's how it makes my schedule and my kids' schedule run a lot smoother than trying to do everything on Sunday night for the next week, especially since some of the programs we use require printing things and organizing things. So it's a little bit more effort. So we are currently coming up to that week off. So I thought it'd be a wonderful opportunity to show you how I do it. And again, I don't do it in one day, so you're gonna see, a compilation of a couple different videos put together. I will do little chunks here and there throughout the week, so it's not overwhelming, it's not stressful. Again, on this week off, I don't do anything crazy, like we do our normal household chores and dishes and things like that, but my kids don't have their big chores that they are responsible for. They clean their room and they still take care of laundry, but they don't have any specific household chores. I take a break from the bigger household chores that I usually do, and again, I have videos how we handle chores if you're curious about that. But it's supposed to be a relaxing week, and it really has helped us. This is the second year we've had this schedule, and it's really helped prevent burnout for both the kids and I, because I have this separate teacher planning time. They have a nice break, everybody's happy. We've never really had an issue transitioning back into school after the week off. I know some people have talked about that, but by the end of the week, my kids are ready to get back into schoolwork. So that's never been an issue. So I'm gonna turn you around and kind of show you what I'm working on, at least today. All right, so I wrote on an index card, I know, fancy, the things I want to accomplish this next 7 days. So I have it broken down for my fourth grader, my first grader who's 6, our group work. And of course, because it's me, it's not only color-coded, but listed. Just that helps my brain function better. So you can see the things highlighted in orange here. These are things that are going to take more effort from me. So for example, let's start with my 4th grader. I have to get her math ready. Now, I don't prep math 6 weeks in advance. She's doing Singapore Dimensions Math 3A. So I will just look at that on a Saturday and Sunday, and I'll make sure I'm prepared to teach the lessons for the following week, because they are becoming more complicated concepts, and it's definitely math taught in a way I wasn't necessarily taught. So I want to make sure I'm prepared to teach that, look over the lessons really quick, nothing too intense, but just so I know what I'm doing. Michael Clay Thompson, I need to make some copies for her sentence analysis and print those out for her. So again, that's going to take a little bit more time. That's why it's highlighted in orange, because I have to make 6 weeks worth of copies for sentence analysis from the book. Health, again, the W means it's something I will do weekly and not something I really have to prep right now. I just need to look at the following week. Health, I just need to make sure the page numbers are set where they're supposed to be, and again, I'll show you that. Lightning literature, same thing. I will just look at the following week's lesson. Vocab, I will set up the vocab for the following week. So the only thing really for her core work that will take longer is getting that Michael Clay Thompson copied and printed. So for my 1st grader, same thing, her math, Singapore Dimensions 1A. I will go through, read the following week, and pick out what games or activities we're going to do, or if there's a picture book I want to get from the library. And then she does have some more core work that's going to take some more time. I need to print some, and you can see here it says print handwriting, core knowledge skills, kindergarten, for her handwriting practice. I have to print that out. I need to make some copies for the Journeys readers from the practice book, because she's getting low on those, and I want to make sure she has enough for the next 6 weeks. So I don't have to print or copy anything for the next 6 weeks. And then core knowledge, language arts, I need to make sure the next couple units she'll be doing are printed and ready to go in her folder. I won't necessarily read the next 6 weeks of lessons, but I will make sure the supplies I need. I'll look at the supplies list for each unit, make sure I have the supplies, and also I'll make sure the entire unit worksheets are printed. And then All About Reading Level 2, again, I don't have to prep anything for that. It's already ready to go. I just need to look at the lesson for the week ahead so I have an idea of what's going on. And again, I probably won't do some of these until later in the week. And then group work, all of it's highlighted. So our group work definitely is what takes me probably the longest. So for Curiosity Chronicles, I need to print the next 6 weeks, and that's because I choose to buy the PDF version just because it was a sale. But that does mean I have to take more time and print out the comprehension or the discussion questions, the coloring pages, the activities, and organize that all so it's ready to go. Innovators is something we use with Torchlight. I need to print the next 6 weeks off of that. So it says here I need to print the Torchlight, the next 6 weeks of Torchlight, the schedule, and I need to do our lesson planning. I do have a video kind of how I walk through our schedule, and I go through and I pick out what activities we will be doing in Torchlight, which ones we won't. I'll cross those out. I'll pick the extensions we're going to be doing again, and this is all because I can later just pick it up and go. Library books. I need to figure out when I need to get library books in the next 6 weeks, and a lot of this is related to Torchlight and Curiosity Chronicles. And the last thing is I need to lesson plan for Core Knowledge Science. We just finished Weather and Climate, so I know we're going to be starting a new unit, so I need to make sure, again, all those things are printed, the worksheets, and I will actually go through and lesson plan for that. And then I will have to lesson plan for art, which again is just opening the Harcourt book and figuring out what lessons I want to do. So that is a breakdown of what you're pretty much going to see in the next video. So what I'm going to work on today, I'm going to probably just work on, I'll concentrate on my 4th grader. I'm going to look at her math for the next week. I'm going to really quick figure out her health. So the things that I can do on a weekly basis, I will probably do those really quick because it's pretty easy, and I'll show you how I do that. Start off with my 4th grader's 3A dimensions. So we're going to start with the textbook. The first thing I'm going to do is just label what she's going to do, because we do a textbook lesson one day and then she does the textbook lesson or the workbook lesson independently. So I just really quick write Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on here so she can quickly flip to it when necessary. And if you're curious, I will not make her do all of these. She's learning how to multiply larger numbers, and she gets this concept really well, so I'll probably have her pick 5 out of here, pick 5 out of here, and she will understand what that means. And then I will have her do all of the word problems because that is something she needs to work on. This concept pretty well. I don't feel like she needs to do every single problem. Same thing. I'll have her pick 5 here. And then I'll have her do all the word problems, and I usually have her pick 1 challenge problem to do. But it does, I find breaking up some of these, if she's not understanding the concept well, I'll make her do all the problems. But she understands these concepts pretty well. And I think giving her the choice of which ones to do makes her feel more independent and like she's in control of it, which is helpful when it comes to math. I will have to do now is she'll be doing a lesson 5. This I'm not going to look over because it's just a practice page, so there's not going to be any real teaching I'm doing, but I will look over lesson 5 and lesson 7 in the teacher manual just to get an idea of what they're going over so I have a better idea of how to teach it. So I will open up my teacher's guide here. I do prefer the teacher's guide over the homeschool guide if you're curious. But I will open up to this, and this is what I love about the library. This is the bookmark at the library. Love the library. But I will look over, and I love how Dimensions has the workbook pages in here, or the textbook pages in here, so I don't have to have this open while I'm reading through the lesson. I can just look at this, and then the workbook pages are in the back of the chapter. So I will read through 5 and 7, see if there's any activities I want to do for her, and make sure I have an idea of what the concept is being taught. All right, that is it for math. So like I said, I just prepared it for this coming week. Looked over the lessons. I don't think it's going to be anything difficult for me to teach or for her to learn. I'm not going to do anything in orange today that's going to take more prep work. That will probably be in a day in itself. I'm going to now look over her vocab. So last week she did Sadler vocab. And again, I just labeled every day for her what to do. So she switches from one week, she'll do the Sadler vocab, and then the next week, again, I got this on Thrift Books for just a couple dollars. Highly suggest if you want to try this program out, looking on there first. I mean, it was a used copy. The first 2 pages were done, but the rest of the book was completely blank. So can't beat that. So she's going to be doing word ladders this week, and I'll just stick this in her folder, and I don't have to label anything. She'll just do the next one after that. Again, we're just using Hardcore Health, and you can see I have the tabs up here. So I just need to make sure the tabs I moved. I tend to move the tabs when we finish that health unit, so I don't have to go back and do it, but I want to make sure I have it because she picks this up herself. But she'll be learning about harmful substances. So she will read that, so that is good to go. Again, I just want to make sure that's sectioned off for her so she can read it independently. Then we'll just discuss what she read about. So the only other thing I'm going to work on is her lightning literature. And that is this. She's currently working on Nim's Island. So I'm gonna look at the student book really quick. And all I'm going to do for this is look at what chapter she's going to read. I do section off the chapters for her, which I already did when she finished. So she's going to read chapter 9 and 10. So that's section off, so she can just pick it up the following Monday and be good to go. She will most likely do her grammar independently. I will look it over really quick just in case she has questions. This is something we have covered in Michael Clay Thompson, so I don't really think she'll have issues with it. If she does, she'll tell me and we'll go through it together. But she knows exactly that day 1 means Monday, so I don't have to label anything like that. I'll just quick look over the grammar lessons for the week. Now with the sentence diagramming, I much prefer the way Michael Clay Thompson does sentence analysis over sentence diagramming. I think sentence analysis, it's easier for her to see how things are connected, and this just gets complicated for her, and I don't think memorizing, which way to put a certain subject or part of a sentence is helpful, the little weird diagrams. So I just have her do sentence analysis, so I probably won't. I'll have her read over how they're separated, but I'm not going to make her physically do the diagramming. I will have her instead take these and just do sentence analysis like she's done in Michael Clay Thompson. I think it's just a lot more helpful, and visually it's easier for her to do as well. And then she has a grammar review later in the week and an optional exercise. All right, so that would be pretty easy for her. So I will look at, in the teacher's guide, the writing assignment, because like I have a video I posted before, the writing assignments I kind of spruce up using what we have with IEW to make it more structured for her and easier, a better scaffolding. So she is going to be looking at a research project because she's reading Nim's Island. She's going to be doing a research project and reading some books. So I need to make a note of that she'll need to get some books from the library. Now with this assignment, they want her to research the island, and I'm completely fine letting her adjust that to maybe researching a animal found on an island because she's very much into animals and I think she'll enjoy that. But I will just grab our IEW. This is 1A, as you can see here. Now she finished this, we do IEW during the summer, and then when she finishes that, we do the next level of lightning literature. So she already did this level during the summer. So what I'm going to do is just look in here for how best to scaffold that assignment for her. So for example, this is one of the units she did in IEW, summarizing multiple references. So what I'm gonna have her do is, when we go to the library on Monday for story time for my first grader, I'm gonna have her pick out at least 2 books on a specific jungle themed animal, and those will be her sources. Now when it comes to online, sometimes I will pull up different websites that she can take information from, but really I think learning to use the library, pulling books from the library, she already knows the Dewey Decimal System and all that, and how to find a book in the library from the catalog, which I think is a lost art, but she's going to pick some actual book sources opposed to online sources, because we did that with the last 2 research assignments she did, and I just want her to use actual books this time. I don't have to monitor her on the computer. So she'll pick 2 books from the library on a specific jungle-themed animal, and then I will just slowly have her work on this. So for one day, I'll have her do, her keyword outline for her first book. On the second day, I'll have her do the keyword outline on her second book. So if she chose like a jaguar for her jungle animal, she would do the information on the jaguar from the first book, information on the jaguar from the second book, and then she'll use a fused outline. Again, she knows how to do all this through IEW, but I need to make a note that she'll need to have the library books in order to do this assignment, and she'll have to pick what animal she will do. And I will just have her work throughout this through the week and not necessarily follow the schedule for this, because she'll probably have her outline done in 2 days, and then she'll do a fused outline, which will be the 3rd day. And this, the writing assignment for this is probably, the writing assignment for this is 2 weeks long. So she'll definitely finish before that. She'll do her outlines, do her rough draft, and again, I make her follow all the stylistic techniques from IEW, the ly adverb, the who which clause, because all those things that need to be included in her paragraphs. So all I need to do for lightning literature is make a note in my planner that she will need to get library books and pick a topic. So I made a note that she needs to get that, and that will be prepping for lightning lit. And I feel like that's all I'm going to do today. My 3-year-old will be waking up from his nap soon, so again, there's no rush to do this. I have an entire week, but that takes care of her work, her weekly work for the following week. All right, so the last thing I have to do for my 4th grader to prep for the next 6 weeks is her Michael Clay Thompson. And again, that's one of those things that's going to take a little more effort because I have to make some copies. Now, she finished Sentence Island in the previous 6 weeks, so we are completely done with that, which means I'll need to do 2 things. One thing I'm going to need to do is make some copies of the sentence analysis from the practice book. And I did that with my Epson EcoTank, awesome printer, I highly recommend it. And all I did was I go through its front and back, and they're labeled weeks 1 through 7. And that's something else I wanted to mention really quick. I have a school calendar I work from, and during the 6 weeks off, it's not, or the 6 weeks on, it's not always exactly 6 weeks. So because of when Easter falls and when my husband's vacation is for the spring, we will actually be doing 7 weeks on, 1 week off. I try never to push it past 7 weeks because we've done 8 weeks on before, and it was just, everybody was a little crabby. So 7 weeks on is still okay. So we'll do 7 weeks on this next 7 weeks, and then we'll take a week off for Easter and spring break, that kind of thing. But with that told me I needed to make 7 weeks worth of copies for this. So week 1, again, is just front and back. They're labeled. She'll be able to pick those out of her book. I just stick those in her practice book, pages copied, and I do have this copied from the book just so she has a quick reference to the abbreviation she needs. So that's already been done. I made all the copies. That's all good to go. The other thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to reference the teacher guide. Again, you can find teacher guides or implementation guides, as they're called, on the Facebook, and I will try to link it down below if possible. If not, I'll just put the name. The Facebook website for Michael Clay Thompson, a group site. A lot of people have put together implementation guides, different things you can look at. I don't share a direct copy of mine because, one, it depends on what edition you have. Some of them are just put together by other homeschooling parents. So feel out what schedule works best for you, but this is one I'm using. So I'm going to reference, and I keep track of, what she's done so far. So because she finished Sentence Island, and I forgot to mention in a previous video, she did Building Language as well, which is part of Michael Clay Thompson. We did the ebook version of that because it was cheaper to buy and it didn't come with the package I bought on eBay. So after Sentence Island, she's actually going to start Mud Trilogy. So this is a series of 3 books that Michael Clay Thompson wrote, and they're novels for children, so they use a lot of the things. So it's the continuation of the story of Mud, who is a character from Sentence Island, Grammar Island, and he goes out and adventures, learns new things, but it's a continuation of the things that they've learned in the Grammar Island and Sentence Island, and he doesn't shy away from using, higher level vocabulary and things like that. If you want a actual flip through or review of this, let me know, but this is really good so far from what I've read. I've read over the teacher manual. I'm excited to start that. So looking at our schedule, I see that the first thing we're going to have to do is a vocab discussion. So like I said, in these books, there is, and if you're curious, you will need the parent manual in order to use these because this has all the instructions. This is literally just the books. Now, I do think my daughter could probably read these independently, but I think we're going to go through with it because it does have some higher vocab than maybe she's familiar with. So we're going to start with the vocabulary pretest, which is we're just going to go over the vocabulary words that she may not be familiar with. For example, I'm pretty sure she knows what profound means, what serene means. She might not know what clamor is or abate. Melancholy, she's definitely familiar with, especially with reading Shakespeare. Grotesque, so we're just going to go over those really quick, so I know we'll do that. And then the chapter is only a couple that we'll be reading, is only a couple pages, so that'll probably be, so we try to do Michael Clay Thompson at least 3 days a week. So chapter 1 is 5 pages, so that's really quick. And does have vocabulary notes down here if they're not familiar with the words. So we'll read that probably one of the days, and then there's discussion questions in the parent manual. So if we do Michael Clay Thompson Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever 3 days we choose to do, I know that she will have to do 2 of the sentence analysis, so front and back, and then we will read a chapter and we will do the discussion questions. So it's changing up Michael Clay Thompson a little for us. I just need to make a note of that's where we'll be going forward. So for the next 7 weeks, we will be reading through the first book in the Mud Trilogy, which is this, and doing the discussion questions. And everything is just very discussion based. It's not, get out a piece of paper and write your answers. And it's not comprehension questions. It's learning to think critically questions. So I really appreciate this. And I'm excited to start that. And one thing I did want to talk about is, so what do I do with the previous 6 weeks that she did for sentence analysis? So I do have a portfolio, and if you want a video on kind of how I set up my first grader and fourth graders portfolio, I'll totally make that video. I live in a state where portfolios are not required, but I think keeping a record of what my children have done in previous years is very beneficial, not only to me, but if there's ever a situation where somebody needs to see what they did, whether that's entering public school, whether that's we moved to a different state, whatever it may be, having a record, I think, is a good thing of what they've done. So I have different tabs in here for subjects, science, language arts, math, those things. So when I'm going through this prepping for the next 6 weeks, I will pull those things that I've kept stacked up and pick a couple. Usually I will pick the first and second one of that 6 weeks and put it in her language arts section of her binder. So that's something I do during this prep week as well. And I know what we'll be doing for the next 7 weeks of Michael Clay Thompson. We'll just be reading discussion questions, and she'll continue her sentence analysis like she always does. So I can click the Michael Clay Thompson is done, and I did switch over to using OneNote. I do have a video how I use OneNote in our homeschooling, but that little index card I made, my 3-year-old has already found it after one day, and drew all over it and disappeared. So I just transferred everything over to OneNote, and I made the little boxes that I could check off, because I'm definitely a person that enjoys checking off the boxes. I'll put a little picture of that here, but that is all I'm going to do for today. Like I said, just small little chunks throughout this week, so I'm not sitting here for hours going through curriculum or planning, and it doesn't feel overwhelming or bogging me down, and I still have time to do the things I want to do. So next up will be my first grader, doing all of her core work, and she definitely has more work, or her work is probably age level easier to do than fourth grade, but hers requires a lot more printing and copying, so I will show you what that is like in the next part.